In today's video, Chad Vanderipe, Business Development at Churches by Daniels, interviews Pastor Darian Rains of Your Place Church in Pryor, Oklahoma. Darian is an ARC church planter, number 105. We wanted to share Pastor Darian's story as an encouragement to you and to remind you that leadership equity is always on the line.
Pastor Darian, honored to have you here with us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Pastor Darian Rains. Tell us a little bit about your church.
We launched Your Place Church 10 years ago this year, and it's been the ride of my life. We started out as a group of 30 people in a coffee shop in Pryor doing interest meetings. Wow. We called them launch team meetings back then. And on April the 12th, we did that for about 4 months. And on April the 12th, 2009, we pulled the trigger on our church. And we had 134 people show up that first day.
Golly, yeah. It's amazing.
And of course,
first day, 130.
First day, 134 people showed up. And our friends at the ARC said, you can probably expect about 50% of that on week 2, because everybody who knows you and loves you, who's just there for the launch, will go back home, go back to their own church or whatever. We had 124 people show up the next weekend. So we didn't see that 50% drop that they told us that might happen.
We were on a journey with you. I think it's probably 4 or 5 years ago. We started doing some work together. You were looking at doing a pretty significant remodel on your building. And you had hired us, and we had kind of gone into the design development phase, or schematic design rather. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
We started having a conversation with the folks at Daniels about what it would look like to renovate the space and make it more like a church, because right now it just looks like a warehouse.
Yeah, I remember walking through it.
Still to see the forklift tracks.
It wasn't close to a church.
No. So we started having conversations with them. They gave us our initial, I say they, you gave us our initial mock-ups, designs, and we fell in love with it. We could see the vision. It was plain. And so we started moving down that direction.
And we gave you a budget, I remember that. And that's kind of where things took a little bit of a turn.
Yeah. So initially the folks at Daniels told us for what we wanted to do with the space that we had was going to be roughly $3.9 million. Obviously, just like any church, I have a board of directors. And so the board of directors got involved with the process. One of my board members is very active with his company in building multi-million-dollar buildings. Encouraged us to just get a second opinion, and we did. And the second opinion, and I'll never forget, the folks here at Daniels told me something. They said, we're going to give you a price because our goal is to, at the end of the project, you still have money. We're not going to try to lowball the...
Come in with the low number to win the job.
And then just to get you to sign the name and then surprise you as the project develops. And I always remember that. I didn't know why, but that's kind of like it stuck out to me. And we ended up getting a second opinion. I'll never forget the day. I was sitting around a table much like this one. Contractors, architects, my team, and that bid came back. And that bid came back almost spot on what the folks here at Daniels told me it was going to be. And I leaned back in my chair and I said, they were right. They were right.
How did that affect you with your leadership equity, with just the pressure of that occurring? Because you were thinking, something was going to be close to $3 million, and the reality is, like we told you up front, it's going to be $4 million. How did you walk through that, and how did that affect you?
So when we made the decision to go with this other builder, those are the numbers I gave my church. I showed the videos. We played the flybys and the drive-ins and everything, and our church fell in love with that concept. In that moment, you're envisioning yourself going back to your church and telling them, guys, I'm sorry. It was wrong. I was wrong. See, they're not blaming a builder. They're not blaming contractors. They're going to look right at me because I was the one that said, no, it's going to be 1.2 for this first phase. So we had to make cuts. We had to go in. We didn't get a lot of what we thought we were going to get.
You survived it.
We survived.
Not everyone survives that.
Yeah.
I forget the statistics, but I think 8 out of 10 pastors transition either to another church or leave the ministry after a building project.
Yeah.
It was a Tom Rainier stat. So leadership equity is always on the line, and our goal is always to protect that equity.
I found an interesting statistic. There has not been a pastor in Mays County, Oklahoma, who has survived a building project yet. Every pastor that has undergone a building project, most of them will finish the building, but the weight of building that church was so much that they quit the ministry. And so we're going to change that statistic.